There is a sixth dimension beyond that which is known to man. A multiverse as vast as eternity, as timeless as the Infinity Gems. It is the middle ground between the big two and the indie publishers, between sci-fi and mysticism, and it lies between the pages of the reader's imagination, at the summit of entertainment, the dimension of comics, where a humble service is held. We call this service the Gospel of Comics.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Gospel of Comics. I am your host, the Church of Failure, and with me, as always, is my trusty yet sickly co-host, Ayrton McCartney. How you doing tonight, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Sounds like somebody stuffed a bag of marshmallows up my nose, but hey.
Well, that's just your cocaine habit coming to the light. Aren't all rock stars addicted to some kind of nose candy?
I mean, well, I don't like cocaine. I just like the way it smells.
Right. I mean, that's pretty much the blight of us all.
Right.
You know, it's not that we like doing drugs via nostrils. It's just that we can't help but putting them in our noses because they smell so lovely.
Exactly.
I'm pretty sure that's what Outkast meant with their song that went, "Don't everybody love the smell of gasoline?"
Man, I haven't heard that song in forever.
Yeah, but I mean, that's what, like, shit quality Coke smells like, is gasoline. Well, it tastes like gasoline, but that's what it smells like, quote unquote, when it's in the back of your throat.
Oh.
Not that I would know from, any kind of experience. I'm not Rama or anything here.
Now the church is doxed as drug using.
I mean, I think I did that when I started this fucking show. Let's be fair here. So, what was that, Blender?
I said that's a good point.
Ayrton tonight is apparently going through a tornado under a tunnel, underground, in the water, with Ariel and her thingamabob. So his connection is shittier than usual.
Hurricane.
Is it?
A hurricane, thank you very much.
Is it really, though? I mean...
Yes. I'm completely landlocked, and there's a hurricane.
That's the first one. I figure we'll start on the issue 50 with Burning Man.
Okay.
So, do you want to tell the people what we're doing tonight, or?
Well, I mean, I will attempt to. Whether it comes through or not is going to be a different story.
Okay.
We're finishing our creator highlight for Brubaker that was supposed to be for the month of September, but Jim decided to be an ass and stream during our time slot on Monday, so we pushed it to today.
That is correct.
And we will be going through Dark Horse Presents, which I'm not familiar with this. It's basically just like...
Okay, I got you. For those that are unaware, Dark Horse Presents is an anthology title, so basically typically it has between 3 and 4 stories in it. Sometimes a story will run concurrently from month to month through Dark Horse Presents. There were 3 volumes of it. I don't think it's currently ongoing, but it was a way to showcase new talent in those days without committing an entire book to them. It was a really good way to understand, like, what kind of writing the writer that you were currently buying was capable of, if they particularly got a better deal or an independent title. But all in all, Ed Brubaker was featured in, I think it was 9 issues total of Dark Horse Presents?
Something like that.
Because he wasn't in every issue of issue 100, which was a 5-issue series, but
Yeah. Which, come on, that Godzilla one, that was pretty fun.
I think it's still too soon. I think it's still too soon, and the people know what we're talking about when we get there, but let me just do a real quick count here. So, Brubaker was part of issue 50, and then he did a 3-part miniseries for issues 65 through 67. He did a 3-part through 69 or 96 through 98. He was featured in Dark Horse Presents number 100-4, which is very odd, but number 100, like I said, was a 5-part issue, so there was 100-1 through 100-5. And then he was featured in issue number 106. So he basically went from, like what, 94, 93, 94? Maybe it was earlier than that. 91, actually. He went from 91 to 96 in Dark Horse Presents without ever getting, like, a major title with one of those. So, this is kind of, I don't know, what is it? A reverse review, almost? Like, we've read some of the better stuff from later in his career, and now we're going back to the beginning of it to judge him as a new writer that hasn't, like, broken his cherry in the comic industry yet. Seems a little fucked up, don't you think? We should plan this out a little better next time.
I mean, it wouldn't be us if we didn't do it ass backwards.
I mean, that is true. So, before we get into these, do you have any thoughts on the books as a whole? Because, like I said, we got 3 different one-shot stories and 2 3-part stories.
Yeah, I thought it was fun. I mean, I really like that. Is it accidental murder?
Accidental death.
Yeah, accidental death from 65 to 68.
Yeah,
and then the ridiculousness of 106.
right.
As if that surprised you at all.
Yeah. Well, brief spoiler on that one. Number 106 is the one with the Godzilla mini story in it. So, Ayrton literally mentioned that I think 6 times over the course of time we were talking about what we were going to look at for Brubaker. He's like, "Well, there's a Godzilla story in Dark Horse." He's like, "I want to read the Hawk." He's like, "I want to read the Hawkman book. I want to read the Godzilla book." I'm like, "Come on, there's so much good shit here, and you're picking the things you know are going to be terrible. What's wrong with you?"
Hey, the Hawkman one wasn't awful.
Hawkman in and of itself is awful. Okay? I feel like Steven Crowder. I'm going to get a table and just have a table cover printed up. Hawkman is awful. Change my mind. Just sit outside of DC headquarters.
There's a show idea. We could have people call in through Discord if we can figure that out. Just have such and such a character sucks. Change our mind.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I'd have to have better internet for Discord. That's pretty much the next step. Yeah. I discussed it with the Discord. I don't know if you caught it, but I figured I'd discuss it with you. Since most of the money that we get through either Patreon or Streamlabs is basically going to go back into the show.
Yeah.
Figure the first chunk of it should go to getting this set up as a podcast format so it can get playback that way. You just want to listen to it later. Right?
Okay. Yeah.
And then I figured the next step would be go ahead and getting the better internet so we could use Discord and have call-ins.
I can dig it.
And then we'll actually start paying ourselves something basically in comic books that people are going to make us review that we have to buy. But but
I swear to God, if one of you assholes has this review like My Little Pony or something, I'm gonna fire myself.
you're still coming. I still have the contract for your soul. I mean,
yeah.
That's how you learn how to play the
lawyer for that.
That's how I learned how to play the blues, ladies and gentlemen. He sold his soul to the devil sold it to me.
Yeah, it was more of like, he didn't really sell it to you, though. It was more of like a land contract, from what I understand.
No, he sold it to me. He didn't read the fine print. I'm just more clever than he is. I beat him in his own game, Ed.
That would be a fantastic premise for like a really bad horror movie where the devil doesn't read the fine print of a deal and gets screwed over.
Comic book. Sorry. Novel Bro, when you sign up to be a $5 a month Patreon and make us review a My Little Pony book, that's when the My Little Pony book happens. $5 or more on Patreon, you make us review anything you want to. $25, you make us review a whole trade, and you get to come on and talk about it with us. And I send you a mug.
Punish yourself with that one.
Oh no, he doesn't have to read it. He can just come on and laugh at us because we read it.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being a $25 a month patron is you get to come on, laugh at us when we read something. Novel Bro says, done deal, Jesus Christ. What have we done? Anyway.
You can't try and pull a bluff on him like that.
He's Scottish. He doesn't care. He's crazy. He's out of his mind. Oh no, not a My Little Pony mug, a Gospel of Comics mug. We send you a Gospel of Comics tumbler like I made Ayrton.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
What's going on, Captain Weeb? How's it going, buddy? We're just about to get into the first story from Ed Brubaker in Dark Horse Presents. Are you ready for this?
I already forgot which one we were doing first.
Burning Man, issue 50.
Oh, okay.
So, first thing that jumps out to me about all of these issues, Dark Horse Presents an anthology that usually showcases 3 to 4 stories a week, or not a week, a month. It's in black and white. So that cuts costs down on printing.
I bet it was printed as newsprint too back in the day.
Well, maybe. But one thing that I want to point out is I think that this is something the Big Two should be doing. There's no way in hell Zoe Quinn or Brian Michael Bendis or anybody would come into Marvel or DC as a new writer in that company without writing something in an anthology book that my company put out monthly. Because first off, let's just think about this from a financial collector's value standpoint. Okay?
Right.
Not a lot of people are going to buy these. Real comic fans are going to buy these because real comic fans understand that this is kind of where you get your Babe Ruth rookie card. You know, if you actually had one of these issues signed by the original artist and authors before they got famous, that might be something that would be worth something later on down the line as opposed to, you know, having a copy of the newest Spider-Man #1.
Yeah.
Signed by the artist and author.
Another 5 years.
There'd be a what? Excuse me?
There'd be another Spider-Man #1 in 5 years after that, so.
A year, you mean?
Well, I was being generous.
We actually do have a Streamlabs, Captain Weeb. It's in the It's in the chat down below. I kind of keep track of it. I don't think we've had a donation on the Streamlabs yet. I don't know what you're talking about. Need to fix it.
We'll take a drunk donation anytime.
Absolutely. And I don't think these donation websites allow for refunds, so I can't be held responsible for how much you drunk donate. I mean, in the spirit of the kill stream, just don't drunk donate. It's a broken link. What? I gotta fix that immediately.
Uh-oh.
I need to fix that immediately. We're so bad at shilling.
Yeah. We've been boomer or shilling.
Yeah. Let's see.
Oh yeah, it is. The link is messed up.
Let's see what this is. No, that's not what I want. Oh, this has got to be entertaining as shit.
I bet.
Anyway, Burning Man. Talk about the story, Ayrton, while I figure out our boomer boomer
I'm
shit.
Trying to find it in my reader. Where the hell is it? I have too many books on this thing. This show is going great, isn't it, folks?
I mean, it's fantastic. I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. It's number 50. Well, there we go. I found it, and I fixed it. There we go. Try that one on for size. I mean, you definitely don't have to donate after I just fucked all that up and just robbed you out of like 3 minutes of entertainment. There we go. Does it open up?
Let's see.
It looks like it's going to open up. Yep, it does. Okay, cool.
Yeah. It's kind of opening. Oh, yeah,
well.
Cool. It's alright.
Don't be a bitch. Anyway, Brubaker. Dark Horse presents. This is something I think the big two definitely need to be doing just as a whole. Just to kind of make their new people test their bones before they get on a book. You don't give a new comic writer Spider-Man. You don't give a new comic writer Superman or Batman. You test them in this. I mean, Brubaker went on to write several Batman titles just for the simple fact that he was fucking Brubaker.
Right. And, I mean, with his turning everything into a crime drama, really the perfect match for Batman. Yeah.
But, I mean, he didn't turn everything into a crime drama, which is kind of obvious from what we saw in the Godzilla book at the end. But Burning Man is basically the story of a group of kids that watch a guy burn alive and are basically sociopaths about it. It's not as much of a crime drama, I don't think, as his later stuff is. But, I mean, when confined to a 4-page storytelling device, I think it does pretty well.
Yeah, now with that, we could show, like, all the pages, technically.
I think so, yeah. Plus, this is from 1991. I don't know that Dark Horse is really worried about it. I think all of these have sold that are going to sell. But, you've got your 3 kids.
There's some crazy person digging through every single, like, dollar long box or yard sale they can, trying to find all of them.
Yeah. But basically, this guy goes to pull his oven out or something while smoking a cigarette and gets engulfed in flames. And
this is why you don't smoke and cook, folks.
yeah. And these 3 kids end up watching him burn to death. And when one of them gets home, he's thinking about it, and he's just like, I'm sure it's one of the neatest things we'd ever see. So.
Which, I mean, he's not wrong.
Right, but, I mean, it's a little morbid, don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's twisted and fucked up. But the kid's not wrong. Probably will be one of the most interesting things to see.
Uh-oh. It worked. Time to get sauced up from Captain Weed for $1. Thank you, sir. Oh, shit. Here we go. Let's get that, let's get that band ready. We're going to be streaming on Ayrton's channel after a while.
And then we'll be on stream.me.
No, man, that's dead. We'll be on D-Live.
Yeah, I know, that's the joke.
You're a boomer. You can't joke.
I have some good zingers every now and then.
Do you, though?
I wouldn't say so.
So, the cool thing about these is that you can not only do a 1-part story. I want to show the cover of this one because it's pretty cool. You can not only do a 1-part story, but you can also do a multi-part story spread across several months over a couple of pages each month. So it's not as taxing as a full issue because you don't have a full team behind you. It might just be you and an artist, or just you in some cases.
Yeah.
But this is an example of a story told over 3 issues. And again, it's not really reflective of anything that we reviewed already. As far as Brubaker goes, like, his early stuff is a pale shadow in comparison to something like Criminal or Fatale, or, I mean, even Winter Soldier, which I think was the weakest of the stuff we reviewed by him.
Yeah, I mean, I still liked it, though. It was still
of
fun.
course, you like bad comics. What can I say?
I really do.
I mean, how am I supposed to deal with you?
I mean, don't get me wrong. A really good, intriguing, like, deep story with great art, like Kanto, which I just picked up episode issue 5 today.
Ours
like
didn't come in.
too.
Ours didn't come in. We won't have it till tomorrow. Don't fuck it up
good.
for me.
Tell
me it's terrible.
But
lie to me.
Yeah, it was god awful. I think Zoe Quinn took over writing issue 5.
Okay, good. I don't feel bad about not having it yet.
But I also picked up Transformers Ghostbusters issue 5 because it's ridiculous, and I'm enjoying reading it.
Would I still not like it?
I didn't read that one yet. But
and you're up to issue 4, and I've only read 1. So I mean, would I still not like it?
Probably.
Okay, that's fair. Anyway, this is Dark Horse Presents number 65. Now, this runs issue 65, 66, and 67. And the cool thing about these is that Accidental Death is story 1 in this book. And I think it's story 3 in the next book, and story 2 in the book after that.
Yeah, it's really weird.
So we're only going to look at the first part of this, but I'm not going to pull up all 3 issues, but we'll talk about it. This was probably the best, I think, out of all of it.
Yeah,
I mean, just as far as
objectively speaking, yeah, this one is definitely the best.
Well, as far as writing and storytelling goes, I mean, there's more exposition in this story, but I feel like it works, and the art is phenomenal.
Yeah, the exposition works in the way he framed it.
Right. But this is the story of a kid on a military base, and he's actually in Cuba, in Gitmo, and there's a military base, and it's got all the comforts of a regular city, but it still feels like a small community. And then kind of all of a sudden, out of nowhere, there's this new girl that comes to the island, and his best friend hits on her. And then one day,
his best friend is a sex pervert.
Oh yeah, absolutely. He accepts feet pics.
Only feet pics.
Only, yes, only feet pics, and he wants them with socks on. Just saying. But no, his best friend ends up like quote unquote going on a date with this girl, and long story short, the girl ends up dead. And that's pretty much where the first issue leads off. So I mean, there's a lot that happens over how many pages is this one? Like maybe 6.
Yes, like that.
So there's a lot that
you also
kind of
forgot to mention that the girl's mother is a midget.
Oh yeah.
And there's like a whole like half a page of them talking about her being a midget.
6, 7,
Which
8.
I thought was entertaining.
9, 10, 11, 12. Okay, so there's 11 pages actually.
Oh.
But in 11 pages, you get from finding out this kid lives on Guantanamo Bay to the new girl in school being dead because of this kid's best friend. And that's where it leaves off. So there's a hell of a cliffhanger moment.
0 to 60 really fucking fast.
Oh yeah. Well, I just bought the Titan XP Galactic Empire Edition for $1,100 Canadian plus $30 for shipping. I don't even know what that is, but goddamn, they're going for $1,500 to $2,000.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, so they're going for like 25 US. But anyway, over the course of the second issue, this kid and his friend hide the body in a cave, and they go around like, oh, this never happened. And eventually they get caught, obviously, or else, the story would be kind of moot.
Yeah. Well, they find the girl's body, and then the kids start freaking out. And then eventually our main character decides to just
give up his friend, yeah.
What happened.
And his friend
like,
is...
fuck this guy's crazy.
Yeah, and he's like stolen a gun, and he's shooting at the military police. It's really weird, because after the first issue, it doesn't feel like there's as much space and exposition to like flesh all this stuff out.
Yeah. And
go ahead.
Also, his friend's dad is a huge prick.
Right. Yeah. So
just I would bring that up.
But then
some
by the
pretty
third
interesting character. Like he's really good in this story at like fleshing out like the actual like character moments. I felt like
yeah, definitely. I give you that. Let's see here.
Yeah, you can kind of see like in like criminal stuff that strong suits is the actual characterization. You can kind of see that here in this early work, and I thought that was really really cool.
Okay, so issue 2 had 11 pages as well, and it was the second story in issue 2. And issue 2 ends up with them finding the body after these two kids are like freaking out about her being missing. And, the kids start to question their loyalty to one another after hiding the body for the first half of the issue. But, issue 3 is all about her being found and the main character basically giving himself up. And you find out that the friend is essentially a sociopath who has been on the brink for a while and is shooting his own father with a gun.
Yeah, but his own dad shoots him in the shoulder and then points his gun right in his face, and the other military people have to pull him off of him.
Yeah,
because dad's gonna murder his own kid.
Well, I mean, it's weird, man. It's a weird situation to be in, I think.
It is. It is.
I mean, your own kid's shooting at you, and what do you do? Do you just get shot, or do you go into fight or flight mode? I like to think I would be a good enough person to just be shot by my kid. As weird as that sounds, but
I mean, him shooting his kid in the shoulder to knock him down. That's understandable.
I don't even know that I could do that, man. That's the thing. I'm not even sure that I could do that in a life or death situation. That's what's so weird about it. That's why it's such a weird situation to me. Yeah,
which is fair, but I could at least I could make the jump to okay, doing that.
But not just running up and putting a gun in his face.
Right. That's the part where you're like, ooh, man, this guy's an asshole.
So, long story short, folks, this 3-issue series, while probably the best written and the best drawn of the 4 that we're going to look at tonight, and the 5 in total, it goes really dark really fast. Father to son, you murderous little cretin, give me that fucking pistol. Pistol whip, disowned! That's basically the way it worked, yeah. That is exactly how it played out in the book.
Yeah, pretty damn close.
Oh, man. So, I don't know. Like I said, all in all, I would say this is the best story, pound for pound of all of them.
Yeah.
And it's the best representative of what Brubaker would grow into as a writer as well, I think.
Yeah, which is the part that I really enjoyed about it, was seeing those early hints of his later style.
Now, this is probably second best.
Although they're fun. The other ones, although fun, this one I could definitely see as a stretched out a little bit longer, a little bit more, kind of like that mystery, kind of trying to cover shit up, betrayal and all this stuff. Stretched out, I could definitely see this as one of his, a full volume.
I can kind of see this next story that we're going to look at stretched out like that. But, just over the course of 3 4-part insertions, I think that this book was done a great injustice by being presented in this format. I would have much rather seen all 3 of these parts in an introductory issue, and then seen an issue 2 follow up to it. And that, of course, is the book that we currently have on screen, The Here and Now, from, I believe, 96. And this is 96, 97, and 98. It's a 3-part series. The only reason I think this is a weaker piece than the one we just looked at is the art. Not that the art is bad. I feel like the detail in the art from the other one gave a more serious tone to the story. And the lack of detail in this just kind of keeps me from becoming intimate with these characters. It makes them a little bit unrecognizable from panel to panel.
Yeah, some of the pages are a little Uncanny Valley-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
So, in this one, we're following the story of this kid that's all grown up, and he's got a picture that he keeps referring to as himself. But we find out by the end of the 3-part series that this is basically his brother, and that all kind of terrible shit happened to them growing up. This is a really heavy story from the get-go, and it's pretty much told in flashbacks and flash forwards almost. This is probably one of the weirder ones and one of the harder ones to follow, I think.
Yeah, this one's very, very wordy.
Well, it's not that it's just wordy, it's... you start out with the main character who's
mixed with the art.
Well, you start out with, a private investigator whose name is Hal Banks, and he's been hired to follow this guy's wife around who likes to go to movies. And you get a lot of exposition about, I like going to the movies, and you get a flashback to his father leaving him. And then, you get a flash forward to him talking about how sad his father is. And then you get a shot of him at the park eating a sandwich. It's just so random and jumpy. But it all starts to kind of cohese together about halfway through the first insert. When he rolls up on... Yeah.
I do enjoy sitting in a park bench eating a sandwich.
Well, I mean, who doesn't? I like literally taking a flight to Pawnee, Indiana around 10 o'clock in the morning so that I can acquire a sandwich by noon and be sitting on the one park bench in the very tiny park in Pawnee and eating my sandwich.
Make sure you have that bench and no one else can use it. Everybody else can stand and eat their sandwiches.
Right. I put my bag right next to me and I glower at anybody trying to guilt me into moving it. So that I alone can eat on that.
Is that just your face, though?
Yeah, but they don't know that.
Okay.
But essentially, about halfway through the first installment of this, the guy walks into his private investigator office, and there's a kid just sitting there with a note pinned to his shirt. It's so very 90s, right?
Yeah.
Because, I mean, whose parents here didn't threaten to pin a $20 bill to our shirt and just send us on our way? Or was that just me?
Or pin like the 10 or something and send you to the store for some like milk and bread or something.
Nah, man, it was always cigarettes and liquor with my family.
Yeah.
You could buy those things for your parents.
Smokes.
No, you could always... Right. You could always go and buy that shit for your family when you were younger, back in my day.
Right.
Guy at the gas station knew your mom, your grandmother, and they knew which brand they smoked in case you forgot. Who's they for, son? Grandma. Oh, so I need the Winstons instead of the Camels. Got it. She want any peach snuff, too? I mentioned I live in the South. But anyway, this guy rolls into his own PI office, and there's a kid sitting there with a note pinned to his shirt and a file. And it's just like this woman dropped a kid off in his lap, right? So he calls up his ex, and his ex tells him to go fuck himself, which is something I think everyone here can relate to.
Yeah.
In some form or fashion, right?
Yeah.
So he takes the kid along on a stakeout, and he basically sets up in a hotel taking pictures of an adulterous wife. And he's like, hey kid, come man the camera, and if you see anything happen, just take a picture or get me over here.
I mean, teach him young.
Yeah. So the guy starts... he takes a phone call and calls his brother, and the kid, is calling him, hey, shit's happening. This guy's in a fucking flashback, and the kid just, taking photos or whatever. And, we see the PI take the camera away from the kid and start taking pictures of the woman, and that's the end of the first part of this. And it kind of gets weirder from there. It kind of takes a Shyamalan twist, I think, in the second issue.
I mean, can we say Shyamalan? I mean, the trees don't start killing people.
We're not... I don't know, man. I think we can. I think we can, because apparently the camera starts killing people.
Fair enough.
So the guy gets his film developed and apparently doesn't look through his photos, or he does look through
By
them.
the
And
way,
that
if
makes...
there's anyone younger than 25 listening, cameras used to have these little cartridges of
That
like
were
black
rolls
tape
of...
looking.
Yeah, there were
Called
rolls of
film.
actual film in the cameras that you had to get developed into your photographs.
Where the light coming into the camera would push the image onto this so-called film, and then you had to
Create
take it
a
to
negative.
basically a scientist that would sit there and use a bunch of chemicals.
What are you talking about, a scientist? It was a fucking high school dropout that was working there for $6 an hour. You fuck.
Hey,
Talking about a scientist. These kids aren't curing cancer.
I'm trying to make it sound more fanciful than it actually was.
No, man, it was some guy that was fucking his girlfriend in the dark room waiting on your picture to develop.
I mean, what else are you going to do? It takes like a half hour.
Well, smoke a joint after you fuck your girlfriend, obviously, but... At least that's what people did in the dark rooms around my town. But again, I'm from the South. The same thing that happened at the Subway that I work at. By the way, guys, don't eat at Subway.
Dude, the goddamn Subway by my work, they caught one of the chicks that works there shooting up heroin in the bathroom, and she still works there.
Nice. Yeah, you can't actually fire a drug addict anymore before you offer a chance for them to go to rehab on the company dime. Yeah.
Can you offer to put a boot in their ass?
I mean, that's what they did back when I was a kid. That's why I'm not hooked on smack, obviously.
I need to find my bleach. I'll be back in a sec.
Good. Just pour yourself a nice iced glass. But anyway,
bleach on the rocks.
The kid rides around with the guy on a PI mission. He goes and gets some film developed and ships the photos to his client. They go catch a movie. I've got a runaway 2-year-old.
Uh-oh. What happened?
I've got a very angry 2-year-old. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
She has been wrangled. But no, this guy ships.
If it wasn't for throwing stones. If it wasn't for throwing stones at local pedos, I would not be half the man I am now.
What is that? Oh yeah.
Novel bro in the chat.
Yeah, like before they ever needed to. The real OGs would knock on the door. Fantastic. But no. So they go and again to date the piece, The Wizard of Oz was showing at the local theater. So, but he takes the kid to a movie, and then he takes the kid to his mom, and you really have no idea why the kid is in his custody, so to speak, why the kid got dropped off with him. So his dad apparently passes away, and they go to kind of hash out the shit with the lawyer. And the kid Philip, who was dropped off with him, is running around with the kids in the house, and that triggers another set of flashbacks. It's very odd. There's some talk between the two brothers, a couple more flashbacks, and then a detective shows up with the photos that were developed and shows him that he photographed the client killing his wife.
Huh.
So, when I said that the previous entry kind of led into what he was going to be writing, while this is more on par with the crime genre, I feel like this series of issues is more convoluted than his writing. Like, I feel like he reached a good medium between the first 3-part series and this 3-part series with his later writings. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I could see that.
And
I mean, we do just have a cock and balls just hanging out full spread.
we're not talking about that, and we're definitely not showing it on stream. So the third issue is basically the client following the PI around, and then you stop seeing the kid. The guy goes to sleep, he wakes up, and he finds the guy tailing him, essentially. And then he jumps in his car and he chases after the client who was originally hired to stalk his wife at the movies previously. He hunts him down, he gets his ass whooped. And then he shoots the guy.
I mean, as you do.
Yeah, gets released by the police after being taken in. Calls his ex. His ex reminds him that he had a kid in his custody not a day ago. And you realize that this guy's got memory problems. He has no fucking idea what happens from day to day. He can't remember things. So that's why he's having weird flashbacks. And it's never really explained because this is the end of the series. But this kind of gives you that classic Brubaker cliffhanger moment that carries you in between volumes of Criminal.
Yeah.
So, like I said,
definitely. That is one of his strong suits, is the cliffhanger.
Well, it definitely gives you a something else to want to read by him, even though this is the end of the story. Because I want to know what the hell happened to the kid, right?
Right.
And I don't think we're going to talk about the 100 issue. It wasn't bad or anything. It was just, I don't know, weird. It's about a dog.
I mean, all of these are kind of weird.
Yeah, but it's so out of place.
Just fair.
I mean, we'll briefly touch on it, I guess. Bird Dog is basically about a guy who's too chicken shit to talk to a girl on the street. And his best friend is a horn dog womanizer, probably sexual assaulter in today's modern world. He would have been Me Too'd by now. And it's just this guy walking around too chicken shit to make a move with anybody. And then you see a picture at the end that makes you think, oh, well, he had the perfect girl and he either fucked it up or she died or something, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
yeah, kind of odd.
Yeah. I mean, it's good for a short. It would have worked in like a comic strip format or something, but I don't know.
Yeah,
I like his crime stuff better.
See that.
And,
yeah, I can see that. Like the funnies in a newspaper.
Yeah. So that leaves the final story. I'm going to make you do this one.
Come on. It was
funny.
It was more entertaining than you thought it would be. Yeah, super
Absolutely. Absolutely. I still feel like it's too soon, which is why I'm going to make you go over it.
All right. Well, so
I'll get it pulled up first.
Which one is it?
106.
106.
Yeah.
1996.
Yep. So we're 5 years past his debut, and we're 5 years past his debut in Dark Horse Presents for 50.
So, and this is called Godzilla's Day, or Godzilla's Day, depending on the inflection, which you'll find out at the end. Now, it opens with Godzilla doing his thing, destroying a Japanese city. And we move over to, pull up the second page.
I did.
Of this one. Okay. So we have the army attacking Godzilla, and you have just one motherfucker in front of a tank just shooting Godzilla in the foot with a pistol. Like, what kind of drugs was this fucker on?
No, that was General Patton.
Or it was that dude we talked about from World War II that fought with a bow and arrow and bagpipes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But,
Jack Churchill. That was the name. Anyways, but so we go to a newscaster, like Godzilla's talking about. Godzilla's all pissed off.
Well,
attacking
what
the
was
city
the-
and seems to be
what was the
heading
name of? Yeah, what was the name of the tower he was going towards?
Hold on, where is it?
Come on, you didn't make
Uh,
note of the name of the tower. It's Wang Tower.
No,
Ayrton. He's going
Wang
towards
Tower.
Wang Tower.
Okay, yeah. So they show an image of the tower. Now pay attention to it. Anyways, now we'll move on. So we cut to another newscaster talking about how Godzilla destroyed a forest, and he interviews a hippie living in the forest, crying because Godzilla destroyed all the trees and left nothing but skin everywhere.
Right, because he was shedding.
Yeah. And then we get a one panel for a commercial for Chew Slang Mint Gum, the gum of the streets.
Yes, and it had a greaser blowing a bubble.
Yeah, which was great.
Then you had a cutaway to a nature show where, welcome to the world of animals. I am your host, Atsumoto Takahashi. And joining us on our show today is my precious young son, Tetsuo. Hello, I'm Tetsuo.
Hashtag worst Asian accent ever.
Good. Good. Do you think you can do better?
I mean, I can, but it'll be super racist.
Oh, fantastic.
Oh, you damn Mongolians, you knocked down my shitty wall.
Oh, that's terrible. That is racist. Anyway, Tetsuo is super excited about Godzilla and is trying to make the case that Godzilla is a reptile because he's shedding his skin.
And his dad's like, no, Godzilla's a dinosaur.
Right, and he starts spurting out about it. And then...
Godzilla is not a reptile.
Oh my god, that's terrible. I hate you so much.
I told you it would be super... I told you
Impossible! But we skip over, and I guess I'll change the page for this, since this is the last one that we're going over in full. But we skip over to someone announcing the unveiling of the new One World Trade Center, right? This is why I said that the
rose bush, he calls it, because every rose has its thorn.
Right, and this is why I said that it might be a little too soon, because basically the premise of this comic book has gone to Godzilla is going to destroy the World Trade Center. But you can already pick up a theme that Godzilla is always trying to get towards a building.
Pointy.
Yeah, covered in thorns and spikes. And, you know, the ground has been laid that he sheds his skin. So, I mean, you can kind of put together where this is going.
Yeah, and then we cut back to the nature show, the world of animals.
Yes.
And the dad is talking about how reptiles actually scrape off their skin. It's the shedding process. And the kid has an epiphany while watching the newscast that he actually is a reptile, and he's trying to get there to shed his skin. And we move to somehow the military and all the construction workers in the country.
Wait. You can't skip over the big brain. Like in 1996. Okay. Yeah, in 1996, the big brain meme was real. Novel bro,
But
you should take note of this.
But I also wanted to point out that it said, and immediately instigated every construction crew in the nearby area as mustard. That's
With an inside job, we all know Bush paid off Godzilla. But the big brain meme was real in 1996, thanks to Dark Horse Presents and Ed Brubaker.
It really is. And then they build a giant spiky tower.
Yeah, scratch post.
And yeah. And Godzilla walks up to it and makes a really uncomfortable face.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like, that made me a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah. But then he eventually started making an annual progress towards the post every year instead of attacking the city. And everyone lived happily ever after. And we skip ahead to an aged Tetsuo.
A celebration.
Yeah.
Hold on. Also, people celebrate, and the kids use the shedded Godzilla's skin as slides and stuff.
Yeah.
You can leave that part out. The skin slides.
I don't know, man. We gotta cover the aged Tetsuo part of this as well. And it ends on, and that's how I helped create Godzilla Day. And his nephews are like, no way. And he's like, I go play on your skin slides. It's funny, but it's nothing like any of his other writing that I've ever read. Like, if you would have handed me this book and made me guess the writer, I would have died of hunger and thirst before I would have ever said, oh, that's Ed Brubaker.
Now, for me, this one was so the best, like, overall story, I would say, was the accidental death. But the one that entertained me the most was definitely this one because of how ridiculous it was.
That's fair. I don't take that away from you.
Yeah, accidental death, definitely the best. Godzilla's Day, definitely my favorite one. So
yeah, I give you that. I still think Accidental Death is my favorite because it as a comic reader, I can kind of see where Ed Brubaker was going for the rest of his career from that book.
Yeah,
but
which was really cool to read those, like, first kind of inklings of his style.
So,
oh Jesus, novel bro.
Climbing the shaft of Wang Tower.
No, Godzilla plus World Trade Center equals it's meme time.
That's right. That's right.
I expect to see some shit in the Discord tomorrow.
Yeah, only unfunny memes should be illegal and bring lawsuits. You should only sue people over unfunny memes. If a meme is funny, you must acquit.
True. Like my favorite 9/11 meme, because I send them to my boss every year. It's been a running joke for several years. It's Obi-Wan Kenobi standing in front of it and saying, "These blast points too accurate for sand people."
So, I was gonna take a minute and go through, some of his highlights on his Wikipedia page and shit like that. But unfortunately, it's not a lot except talking about the stuff that he's written in his career. And that led me to another conversation topic that I wanted to talk about, even though it has nothing to do with Ed Brubaker as a person, or really comics that much. No, it's not about our show. I mean, it is in the sense that it's a divergent or a tangent that I wanted to get into. But, as I was kind of looking through some of the awards the guy's been nominated for, he was actually nominated for an Eisner Award in 1993 for An Accidental Death.
Really?
Yeah. He's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Eisners for Daredevil, Captain America, and Criminal. Eisner Award for Best Writer and Best New Series, Eisner Award for Best Writer, Eisner Award for Best Writer and Best Single Issue, Eisner Award for Best Limited Series or Story Arc, Eisner for Best New Series, and Eisner for Best Limited Series again. So, he's also written a couple of episodes of Westworld and Dissonance Theory. That's the name of the episode, apparently. He partnered with Nicholas Reth to release Too Old to Die Young, which is an Amazon thing. Hasn't come out yet. But,
I've heard of that.
Yeah, but there's not a lot about there's not a lot about his personal life here. It's all about his career and all that stuff. That got me to thinking, right? Go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't that what should matter?
Absolutely.
Type of artist, their work. Who cares about their personal life?
Well, absolutely, but it led me to kind of like a thought and discussion, and I don't know how many people have kept up with the whole Vic Mignogna situation or anything like that, but there's been an interesting topic brought up because one of the charges he brought up against the defendants in his case is defamation. And one of the defenses against defamation is proving that the target of your so-called defamation was a public figure and worthy of the quote-unquote criticism you offered of them. So, a lot of people on the kick Vic quote-unquote side of that argument will argue until they're blue in the face that Vic Mignogna is a public figure, right?
Yeah.
So, when I think about a public figure, I think about somebody like, I don't know, Tom Cruise, Mel Gibson, Charlie Sheen.
Oh, great.
Jennifer Lopez.
Mel Gibson intensifies.
Absolutely. Whoever's playing James Bond at the moment is a public figure.
You mean that black chick, apparently?
Oh, well, now she is. But, it's kind of based on your exposure to the public. So when I go through Ed Brubaker's Wikipedia page, which is by no means an end-all, be-all, but usually your Wikipedia page will cover your early life or whatever if that information is widely known to the public. So you start off and the immediate entrance is career, from where he did alternative and independent comics, DC, Wildstorm, Marvel, Icon, Image, other work. Then it's got an awards section and a bibliography, so you can see everything that he published under everything. I wouldn't call this man a public figure. Would you?
I mean,
just judging from his Wikipedia page.
Yeah, just judging by that, I would say no.
Well, why not, though? He's been in the industry for 20-something years. 28 years now? Writing comics. He's probably been at a handful of conventions. Probably signed a lot of autographs. Yeah. Does that make him a public figure? Is he a household name? Do you think that anybody outside this audience and the general fandom of comics knows what the fucking Ed Brubaker is?
Probably not. I mean, technically, novel is an author, so same thing. Is he a public figure?
God, I hope not, for his sake. But
are we public figures? We do this, 4 nights a
well,
week. We
I'm a religious
sit here
establishment, so yes.
well, how's that? How's that application for your 501c3 tax exempt status coming? By the way,
I mean, I'm right there with it, son. I just need a few more followers and a building. They won't accept that I am the building. Apparently, got to get a shed or something.
that would be hilarious.
Are you? We need all humanoids. Negative. I am a building. But no, I got to thinking about it, and just the content of his Wikipedia page, or the lack thereof, I think, provides for an interesting topic of discussion, because it really makes you question what your boundaries for a public figure is in an internet age. Because I mean, sure, if I wanted to go like full, methamphetamine fueled autist, I could go and find out exactly where the man lives. I could find out what publicly available phone numbers he has. I could find out any kind of public information about him if I wanted to go that deep into it. But just as far as...
But at the same time, you could do that with the internet now. Technically, everybody would be a public figure if you post on social media.
Exactly. And I think that's where it's an interesting divide of where you draw that particular line. I don't know, it's just something I thought of when I was looking into this earlier, because I wanted to talk about his past and everything and kind of how he got to where he was going, but where that information would usually be is not there, which I can only assume because I never hear about Ed Brubaker in the media or social media, that he's a fairly private individual, which is smart. And I respect him more for that.
And I mean, did you ever see that video of the, I forget who it was, but there's like this weird cat with a fucked up face like in his backyard. He's like, oh, what's that? Is that a fucking cat? And stuff like that. I don't know. It was...
There's a goddamn cat out here!
Yeah, that one. Well, that cat has a fucking Instagram page.
Well, so did Grumpy Cat.
A public figure?
Yes.
But you see what I'm saying? Are those pets public figures?
Yes. 100%. But anyway, no, I thought it would be interesting to kind of ponder on that for a moment and kind of just toss that around, because in the age of social media, like you said, anybody could technically be a public figure based on what your definition of that is. Do they make themselves available to public ridicule? Well, I mean, that's kind of a weak address, because how do you escape public ridicule if you're made public against your will? Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I don't know. That's...
Google and Disney are going to own the world. They're going to cut it in half.
Well, I just wonder which one's going to buy which first. I think that's what it's the race to.
Disney definitely has more money than Google does.
Do you think so?
Oh yeah. Do you know how much money they lose from just owning YouTube every single year?
Do you know how much money Disney loses from just owning Marvel every year?
Yeah, but Disney, I don't know. I still think Disney's going to take over the world. And then they're going to unfreeze Walt's head, and he's going to be the
supreme going to go full Futurama
of all of Earth. Yeah.
Is this before or after we all get the silver unitards?
Well, I'm hoping before, because I really want a silver unitard.
I mean, it doesn't. I would hope it would be after then, because as soon as he comes online, he might kill us all. We don't know that there's not a nuke in his head.
That's true. I mean,
Speaking of which, somebody in the War Campaign Discord earlier, Doc said I had nukes. Rip.
What?
They were talking about nuclear war being like, or something being a nuclear option, and I was like, wait, who said I had nukes? Chirp, chirp. I'll fight Google, but Disney will fucking annihilate me.
Exactly.
And Disney will remount your paused hole and hand it back to you. Let's see what we got here. So
Disney will give you 7 different types of AIDS.
all in all, in regard to Brubaker, though, to kind of wind this back around, I'm a fan. I enjoy it. Oh yeah. I've been a fan of his writing for a long time, and I never been one particular thing that got me interested in him, but everything that he's written that I read before any of these, I don't know, any of these Dark Horse Presents books, I guess. But anything that I've read before that, like, well, I mean, at that point, I had read like Criminal and Fatale and The Fade Out and Kill or Be Killed. All of these books are just so phenomenal, and they're written in such a way that nobody else writes like. And I think that that's something that anybody that's not giving Ed Brubaker's current work a shot is really missing out on, because you've got a man that's almost 30 years in the industry with a very refined and well-crafted writing style. And anything that he does with the artist Sean Phillips is going to be out of this fucking world. Like, these 4 examples that we've talked about here tonight, 5 if you count the one we didn't bring up on the screen, they're all examples of a guy being able to write something on a basis of not knowing who his artist was going to be, not really having editor's notes to go off of, and having a deadline to get in a limited number of pages that might have had to contain his entire story.
Yeah, which, if anything, that goes to show just how talented he actually is as a storyteller, is being able to concisely put those down in that short amount of time that he had.
Well, I think it might excuse some of the shortcomings those works had, but I don't feel like anything we've looked at tonight holds a candle to the first 4 volumes of Criminal from the old days. Not to mention that there's a new volume of Criminal coming out now. That's also fan-fucking-tastic.
Which, yeah, that's definitely true. I mean, he definitely has a different style than pretty much anybody I can think of, at least in comics writing.
Yeah,
like, he writes more like a novel.
Well, he
writer.
The way that I explain it is he is born out of his generation after the fall of pulp novels. Because think about it, who that we have read would you rather read a shadow book written by besides Ed Brubaker?
Oh, nobody else.
Like, now that you've read so much Brubaker, isn't it not a crime that he hasn't done the shadow yet?
There would be so much dynamite.
All of it. Also, I just want to put this out there. I just retweeted on Twitter the poll. It looks like it's kind of a runaway for Alan Moore, but we do have a poll running of what the next creator that we're going to highlight is over the month of October. Even if Keith Giffen doesn't pull out, there is one title of his that we're going to have to look at. I Love Halloween. because Mrs. Church says that we have to, and I listen to her because I sleep next to her. However, it looks like Alan Moore is going to be the runaway leader. I also threw Jeff Johns and Mike Mignola up there. So, and I just retweeted it. So if you go on my Twitter, you should see it. Vote if you want to steer the poll a different way. We're only at 14 votes, so it's not going to take that much to steer the poll. But
Am I still not allowed to vote?
you're always allowed to vote. Only say you're not allowed to
You
vote
give me
is
crap.
Yeah, well, that's just because you're you. I give you crap about everything. Doesn't mean I think it's going to stop you.
That's
God's sakes, you're a grown man here. What am I going to do? Come to Michigan and kick your ass for fucking voting on the poll?
I mean, it depends on how drunk you get.
I still don't think I'm going to make it to Michigan before I sober up.
That's fair.
I think you really overestimate or underestimate the functionality of my liver at this point.
What liver?
I still have one.
Oh.
Not like Mickey Mantle up in this bitch. But it looks like we're going to be looking at Alan Moore, so I don't know. How do you want to do this? Do you want to...
I don't know. Novel bro, Alan Moore waves crucifix around threateningly.
Oh no, you're gonna enjoy this. You're gonna enjoy this. We're gonna review all the good stuff by Alan Moore, all the stuff that he wrote in his bathtub while he was taking acid and drinking absinthe, which is pretty much all of it. But
I mean, what better way to write?
yeah, well, I know he did a pretty prolific run on Batman. Figure we got a few minutes left in the show. We can kind of look up what all he's gotten into, so we can maybe have an idea of what we're going to look at this weekend. We do have a couple of guests lined up over the next couple of weeks.
As always.
But Alan Moore is responsible for such things like V for Vendetta, The Watchmen. He did some Swamp Thing, did The Killing Joke, which I still want The Killing Joker to come on for, but I don't know. He did Whatever Happened to the Man of Tomorrow. He did some stuff for the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. He's a wizard. He looks like a wizard.
He looks like somebody that would take acid and drink absinthe in a bathtub while writing.
On his Wikipedia page, it says, Moore is an occultist, a ceremonial magician, and anarchist, and has featured such themes in works, including Promethea, From Hell, and V for Vendetta, as well as performing avant-garde spoken word occult workings with the Moon and Serpent Grand Egyptian Theater of Marvels, some of which have been released to CD. I need to get these CDs. I'm going to use them as my background music henceforth. I'm going to curse all of you and Alan Moore from now on. So,
Man, his Wikipedia page has a lot more information.
See what I mean? Oh my god, look at all the fucking Eisner Awards. Jesus Christ.
Holy shit.
Feature film adaptations, he has a list.
Do they hand these out as Tic Tacs?
No, they don't. That's the thing.
Jesus.
He's got some let's see. He's got some pretty notable titles under his belt. I think we'll definitely look at his. I don't know. We should look at least one or two of his movie namesakes.
Probably.
I mean, a lot of his stuff has been turned into movies. You got V for Vendetta. Marvel Man is a pretty controversial book that I don't think was ever even finished, and nobody knows who owns it anymore. But got the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, which a lot of people are probably familiar with the movie because of Sean Connery. You've got From Hell, which that's the Johnny Depp movie. I don't know if the series has anything to do with Jack the Ripper, but you've got Batman: The Killing Joke. You got Watchmen. You got V for Vendetta. So,
And he has
which
a
one?
novel called Jerusalem.
We're not going to talk about that. Oy vey.
Came out in 2016.
There's a book called Top 10 that ran for about 3 years. That's probably going to be my first pick to cover. What would be your first pick?
I don't know. Neonomicon. Just off the title, sounds like it could be interesting. Let's see.
All right. I guess
by Avatar Press.
So, what about your movie adaptation pick?
I'm gonna have to go with League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, just because it's such a ridiculous and fantastic concept. I've wanted to read the comic for it. I just haven't.
That comic's been running for 20 years now, so I've got several volumes of it in my personal collection. So, first volume is nothing like the movie. V for Vendetta is actually strikingly like the movie. So is Watchmen.
Well, I knew Watchmen was pretty close.
So next week we'll either look at Neonomicon or we'll look at League of Extraordinary Gentlemen Volume 1 this weekend. Not next week, but this weekend. That'll be what we cover for Alan Moore. We'll let you pick between those two. We might let the people pick between those two. How about that?
We should. Yeah, we should. And we should also do acid and drink absinthe while we're doing these reviews.
I mean, you got to send me the acid. I actually have an Ethernet cable long enough to make it in my bathtub. I don't know that you can handle that.
Which is fair. I mean, with my luck, I'd probably knock my tablet over and electrocute myself.
You dumb motherfucker, you put it in a Ziploc bag.
But then how's the cord for the microphone going to go in? There's still going to be a hole.
No, man, you put your head in a Ziploc bag, too.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
Right. And then you die from suffocation. And then I get a new co-host. I bring Novel Bro on full time.
Yeah, but
and then we get banned immediately.
He would want to review that Jerusalem book.
I'd have him on, and we would immediately review what's the Art Spiegelman book? Mouse. We would review Mouse, and then we would no longer have a Gospel of Comics on YouTube. That shit would be erased like a bad dream. So yeah, that's what we'll do after the poll gets finished up from today. I will put the poll up for what we're going to review on Saturday or Sunday. Let me be the weatherman. Once we get Discord up and working and you get a laptop, we will definitely have you on as the weatherman for like 30 seconds to show with an emergency mute mic. I'll get a stream deck just so I can mute you, dog.
And now, Novel Bro with the weather. The Jew.
No, he just have a clip of Aretha Franklin. It's raining Jews. We love Israel here on the Gospel of Comics. I just want to make that clear. I don't know about Ayrton and his channel, Ayrton McCartney. But here on the Gospel of Comics, we love Israel.
I'm part of the Gospel of Comics.
I love Israel. I don't know about her. The Church of Failure is a staunch ally to Israel.
I don't know. The weather's a bit hot and clammy, but
I disavow all the goyim. But no. So we're looking at Alan Moore, either Neonomicon or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1. If you guys want to put your 2 cents in the chat and let us know. Alone in my dislike of the what? Arcanus. Oh, it's Einbrecht from the Discord. Alone in my dislike of Watchmen. I read the book, I watched the movie, wasn't fond of either. It's not that it's bad, I just don't enjoy them. V for Vendetta was better work, in my opinion. I agree that V for Vendetta was a better work as far as the movie goes. I would disagree as far as the comic. I think that V for Vendetta is a much more shallow comic than The Watchmen is. And I think that in the sense of I read the comics before I saw the movie, and I really appreciate the way that they're structured. I don't know as far as storytelling which one that I would gauge first without rereading them both, because I've always put them both in the Alan Moore box of comic books, which are they're always a strong 7 to 9 out of 10. So you just always throw them in that box regardless of whether you've read them or not. You just assume they're going to be at least that good. And even when I read Watchmen, like, I don't know, like some of his stuff is just, it's a low 7, or it might be a high 6. And then some of his stuff is like, this is a high 9, almost a 10, but I don't think Watchmen or V for Vendetta, either one were those things, but I think they were fantastic for original ideas.
which is fair.
I don't like what's happening with Watchmen in DC Comics, but that's a whole nother episode. I feel like that property had just kind of been milked for what it's worth, and that trying to introduce it alongside Batman and Superman and the Flash and Green Lantern is utterly fucking ridiculous.
Yeah,
because you've already got a Batman in that world and Adrian Veidt. You've already got a Superman in that world and Dr. Manhattan. Like, what's the power creep? Like, how do you balance that?
Yeah.
But
Well, just like how many different Bat whatevers are there? The Bat family.
right now,
There's
let's
a lot of
see.
them.
You've got Batman, you've got Nightwing, you've got Red Hood, you've got Robin, you've got Red Robin, Batman Beyond, Batwoman, Batgirl. Batman's in the Justice League. Yeah, Batman, Superman. You got a Catwoman book coming out. Got a Robin and Teen Titans. So, I mean, there's 12-ish books with Batman or Batman-related titles coming out at any given time right now.
Yeah, it's almost like DC likes to milk their properties for everything they can.
Yeah. But, I mean, if you take a step back, you notice they don't do it with stuff that they don't understand how to use properly. Kind of like Sandman.
Yeah.
Like, it's almost like Alan Moore's work, while it's intense and, acid-ridden, isn't. It's easier to adapt than Neil Gaiman's work.
And if that doesn't tell you everything you need to know.
I'm not sure that tells you anything you need to know. I think you might just be agreeing with me because it sounded good. I'm not sure I agree with me. It did sound good, though. But no, seriously. They don't use Sandman. Detective Dead, or the Dead Boy Detective Agency, was another title from Vertigo that Ed Brubaker was a part of. It was also part of that, magical menagerie of the Vertigo universe that Hellsing and Sandman and Preacher and all of these other titles were part of. I don't know. Maybe one day we'll look at like this, the House of Magic, or what was it? There's a certain series that goes into like the magical side of the Vertigo universe. It's like 4 issues. We should look at it one day. I can think of it.
Probably.
But I don't know. I think we'll definitely look at Alan Moore. We'll put the choice up on a poll or whatever. But honestly, didn't expect that Dark Horse Present stuff to go as quickly as it did. But they're so short, and I didn't want to drag a whole other trade out. What should we do for the last 25 minutes? Or should we end early? I mean, Rackets isn't streaming tonight because he's a fucking boomer. I don't trust you to get a connection going well enough to play guitar tonight.
Yeah, which is fair. You know, I did a test.
I should have called you on Skype and booed you live.
You probably should have. Like, I did a test, I don't know, a couple days ago, and everything was cool for the most part, and then I do it officially last night, and then the connection's just shit. Like, of course.
That's how it goes.
Yeah. So, I don't know. But, see, naturally, when we were going to do this, Jim is streaming, so we don't do it. And then tonight, when we could be done early, Rackets isn't streaming. So,
well, you know how it goes. But anyway, no. So we do have Alan Moore. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to like specifically look at in October besides the "I Love Halloween" by Keith Giffen at Mrs. Church's request?
Well,
kind of give the people something to look forward to.
Yeah. Next week is the last issue of the Hickman X-Men run.
Well, we do have to look at all that, but that's not Halloween specific. Yeah. But we do have to finish covering all of that.
Yeah. Which is, you haven't been reading it as it's coming out. You're waiting till it's all out, right?
Right. I'm waiting till next week to sit down and read it all. Which means we're going to have to do it on a weekend or the following Monday because, well, maybe I can read it all on Wednesday. I don't know.
Yeah. It's 12 issues.
If I start the day before and I just read like the last 3 issues of whatever isn't out already, maybe I can do it Wednesday.
Yeah.
I'll be like doing 2 trades, but we could do it. Do it the day the last issue comes out.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely progressively gets weirder.
Right.
So, which I like.
Yeah. Well, there's been some stuff that come out about it on the news sites that I've been trying very, very hard to just avoid like the plague. But I miss the olden days of Image, Alien vs. Predator, Ninja Turtles, Spawn, and the rest. Yeah. I miss some of that stuff. I don't know. I like the idea of Image, but when I go back and I read a lot of their old books, it doesn't really hold up. I don't know that Ninja Turtles was ever an Image book, though. I think they were mostly Mirage and IDW. I think they had a short stint at Marvel, maybe. Alien vs. Predator was usually a Dark Horse book. But all in all, the independent scene in that era, when Spawn was coming out in the 90s, it was stronger than it is now. And that's with all the Indiegogos and everything coming out. Oh, that's what we can talk about. I don't know if you heard about this. But
probably not.
Yeah, I figured you didn't. Mike S. Miller, a very controversial figure in the Comicsgate movement. No longer an active member of Comicsgate, according to himself, attempted to launch Lone Star on Kickstarter instead of Indiegogo. I could have sworn Usagi Yojimbo had an Image book or two. No, Usagi was always Dark Horse until it moved over to IDW. Usagi was always Dark Horse until it moved over to IDW, and it's always had the same writer and artist. That's one of the ones that I've kept up with forever, just because it's probably one of the most influential comic titles of all time that always slept on. Like, if you ever want a good anthropomorphic book, read Usagi. Every 3 to 6 issues, like it's a brand new item with the same trappings that you can jump into at any point in time. Oh, no problem, man. Anytime. That's literally why I do this show, because I know shit about comic books and don't want to be a smartass about it.
Don't let him lie to you, folks. He wants to be a smartass about it.
Only to you, Ayrton. Only to you, dog. Calm your uppity ass down. But Usagi's fantastic. Yeah, from issue to issue. But anyway, Mike Miller, Lone Star, tried to launch it on Kickstarter. Had a pretty successful Indiegogo campaign, from what I remember. But when he tried to launch it on Kickstarter like threw it back in his face and was like, "We can't have you demeaning marginalized people on a project on Kickstarter." And apparently the marginalized people that were being demeaned and insulted in his project were MS-13.
The fuck?
Yeah. Lone Star was trying to break up a gang of MS-13 members that were attempting to rape a girl. And Lone Star is the titular character.
Don't offend them.
Right.
Fuck out of here. What
right.
the hell?
Right. So Ethan Van Sciver has gone on to put out a video on Kickstarter. And it's a title after my own heart, Aaron. What do you think the title is?
Kickstarter cuck?
No, Cuckstarter. It's Cuckstarter, Aaron. Novel Bro.
It was right there in front of me.
In Minecraft, Novel Bro. In Minecraft, absolutely. I'm right there with you, brother.
Always in Minecraft.
Yeah. But, yeah, that happened today. And, it's hard. It's hard when you have somebody you ideologically disagree with that you have to go to bat for. But that's what I feel like people on the right side of things have to do. And that is, stand up for what's right, regardless of whether you like the person you're standing up for or not. And while I think that Mike Miller has definitely wronged Ethan Van Sciver in this whole Comic Gate thing, while I think that, I think he's even gone on to, or no, that was John Delarose. But the little group that he's hanging out with and being friends with has even stolen the branding of your boy Zach, Diversity in Comics. And John Delarose named his channel Diversity in Comics. And even though they're that big of a shithead, like, that group is that big of a shit baby, feel like I have to speak up and say that Kickstarter is wrong here, and they should totally platform the book and shut their whore mouths, which probably will prevent us from ever getting a Kickstarter project off the ground now. So.
We'll just start our own Kickstarter.
Yeah, we'll just start our own internet going. It's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
When we get kicked off the internet, we'll just start our own. We'll just use the Ethereum browser. That's cool. We'll be on the dark web, folks. Using our bitcoins and
we'll make a mechanical internet out of just millions of tin cans and strings.
Oh no, Novel Bro, you don't understand. In Comic Gate, we use trebuchets. We don't waste bullets. We use trebuchets. We trebuchet them to the moon if we have to.
Yeah, never waste bullets.
Right. Well, there's not enough.
In Minecraft. Me and my friends built a trebuchet when we were kids once.
Yeah.
Water balloons at boats during a 4th of July party.
Ah, nice. I remember the YouTube video that went viral with like 100 million views or some shit, where the squirrel got caught in the trap where it got launched like halfway across the neighborhood.
Oh, fuck yeah. I love that video.
But I don't know, guys. I think that's about it. I mean, I could milk another 15 minutes out of this, but I don't know what else to get into. I like responding to you guys. So if you guys have any questions or if you guys requests or anything like that, I told Novel Bro
Want to
earlier
drunkenly donate on Streamlabs.
that. But like I told Novel Bro earlier, we are going to start trying to get together one day every week and start making some review videos. We can clip up into 10, 15-minute chunks and release during the off days or a couple times a week. And for every tier on Patreon above $1, so $5 and up on Patreon, every month you can suggest a comic book that we have to review. And if we can get our hands on it, we will review it. If we can't, we will work with you until we find a book that we can get our hands on to review.
Watch these crazy people that listen to us are gonna like come up with the most obscure things they can possibly think of just to watch us try and find it.
No, I think they're just going to come at us with a lot of like Sonichu fan fiction and My Little Pony shit and stuff like that. Maybe Gold Digger.
Like Deviant Art comics.
Oh yeah, furry comics, shit like that.
Yeah.
And it'll hurt us. It'll hurt us badly. And some of these, I mean, I'm hoping the black ink. But in any event,
I'm about to take up casual alcoholism. Right?
Chris Chan for the win. Novel Bro, don't do it. I'm gonna make you sub at the $10 level to suggest Chris Chan. I flat out refuse Chris Chan. The Redeemer arc of Spawn was great. After that, it got weird. Overkill was a terrible villain. The back and forth of different Spawn eras to set up Angela as an antagonist was handled poorly. Especially considering, and I'll agree with you there, same with Violator. Considering that both of those characters had mini-series of their own to introduce them into the Spawn universe, that was weak shit. Like, the fact that you had to go and read like a 4-part series for each character just to kind of understand what was going on in Spawn while you were buying Spawn, which was being printed out of fucking order up to like the first, 30 issues. It was all just a big fucking headache with Spawn. Like, I loved it. I still haven't gotten through 300 issues yet. Like, I'm still somewhere in like the 70s right now because it's just like, oh, this is such a chore to read. I like the story, I do, but I think I liked it a lot. Like, this is one of the books that I liked a lot more when I only had to read it once a month or so.
And you kind of forgot a little bit of how out of order it was?
Well, when I was 12, I didn't care. I wasn't supposed to be reading it. Now that I'm 30-something and I can read whatever I want to, I don't want to read it in that big chunk anymore. Like, I want to read it in single-issue format, like 1 or 2 a day, and move on with my life. My Little Pony fanfic. Oh, God. Like I said, you pays it, we does it, but I'm not doing that shit for free.
I mean, I'm glad you. If this is going to be our life on this channel, I'm introduced to that.
If this is going to be our life on this channel, you got to fucking fix your connection so you don't sound like you have a. Don't sound like you have some shit in your mouth.
Oh, well, what if I do?
Well, got that going for you at least. Anyway, let's see where we're at here. Got all these taken care of. But all in all, what do you think of Brubaker while we wrap this up?
Yeah, definitely huge fan of his writing style. It's
If you had to
super
pick
unique.
something that we've looked at that you would want to read more of, what would it be?
I mean, I wish he wrote more of these Godzilla stories, but for a real answer, I definitely am planning on reading diving more into Criminal.
Criminal, you said? Captain
for
Weeb
more
in
of
the
a serious answer.
Captain Weeb in the Streamlab said, "Sorry, I had to leave. Some personal stuff came up. Hope you had an amazing night." Thank you, Captain Weeb. We're glad to have you, buddy, and we definitely appreciate the donations.
Yeah. Make
But-
sure you mash that like button.
Absolutely. Brubaker, though, Criminal. If you like Criminal, you definitely like the Fatale, the Fade Out, all of that stuff. Pretty much anything he did with Icon and Image. Any of his Batman work. Like, I really kind of want to go through his whole run on Gotham Central, honestly. Hello?
Didn't hear.
Try that again. Now I can.
Oh, okay. I said that was definitely a lot of fun what we did read with
Yeah.
Gotham Central.
First series of it was really good. Like I said, all in all, I can't think of a lot that he's done for a major publisher or on a major ongoing project of his that was bad. Obviously I wouldn't give as high a marks to his Dark Horse Present stuff as I would his later stuff like Criminal or Civil War, because Civil War was a fantastic piece of writing too. I'm still kind of peeved at you that we're looking at we're looking at Winter Soldier instead of Civil War in that episode. But what are you gonna do, right?
Hey, Jetpack Machine Gun Gorilla. That's all I gotta say.
The Punisher getting the shit beat out of him by Captain America and not fighting back because of honor.
Jetpack Machine Gun Gorilla.
The Punisher walks into an underground hideout, shoots down 2 villains in cold blood, gets his ass handed to him by Captain America, and refuses to fight back because he has so much respect for Captain America. One of the heaviest, most enlightening scenes in a comic book. Robot clone Thor killing Black Goliath with a knockoff Mjolnir.
I mean, but was there a gorilla with a machine gun in the background anywhere?
I hate you so much. Civil War was awesome, especially the frontline comics that focused on the perspective of the reporters watching it all unfold. I was in love with that shit. Yeah, that was actually probably one of the smartest things that Marvel did, is start that line of comics that they could use in a lot of their ongoing events. And I think they used it all the way up to Secret Wars, and maybe even in Civil War 2 and Secret Empire. But it kind of fell off at that point because the writing got lazy. But one day when we look at Marvels, we'll take a look at kind of where the origin of that format came from. Because Marvels is all written from the perspective of a reporter walking down the street, living day to day in the Marvel universe. Basically getting his ass handed to him at any given time. Castle,
Like
you gonna learn today, son? It was something like that. It was pretty rough though, because Frank Castle was just
not
taking
word
a
for
fucking.
word, but
I mean, Frank Castle was just taking a fucking beating, and he kept thinking to himself why he wasn't fighting back. And you go back to where he was just a green boy in the Marine Corps boot camp, and Captain America showed up to do training drills with them, and he was like a fangirl in awe. Also, kind of interesting to see that Captain America hasn't gotten that much older, but Frank Castle has.
The serum. Yeah. That's the excuse
Well, yeah.
behind all that every single time.
Yeah, well, that's why he got really old really quick, too.
Yeah.
But, anyway, no, I think that wraps it up for this evening.
For some reason, Hydra.
Yeah, that was, yeah, no, we don't talk about that on this channel. We talk about good comic books here unless we're paid to otherwise.
Okay, we've definitely talked about bad comic books for free.
Let's see. I'm a big Nova Richard Rider fan, and one issue after the Annihilation storyline, he comes back to Earth and learns why Earth didn't send anyone to help save the universe. They were too busy fighting among themselves, and he chews Iron Man right the fuck out. Yeah, that definitely happened, and it was definitely well-deserved and well-written. If you remember the number on that issue, send it to me in Discord, and we'll look at it when we look at Civil War. We'll look at it specifically at the end. But for now, I will make a note to get that poll up on Twitter. We'll either do Neonomicon or God damn it, it was right there in my head. League of Extraordinary Gentlemen. Shut up. I'm smarter than you. But no, we'll put a poll up to whether we're doing Neonomicon or League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, Volume 1, on Saturday. And we will move on with Alan Moore's work until Halloween weekend. If you guys have any suggestions or requests for Halloween, by all means, let me know, and we will figure out if we can do it. Other than that, we definitely want to thank everybody for coming out and watching, hitting like, subscribing, all of that nonsense. Share the link around if you know anybody that likes comics. And until Saturday, folks, see you next time.
Good night, everybody.
He said good night, everybody. Couldn't hear him.